Hello everyone and welcome. Oh, my window is a bit weird. Welcome to the stream where we're gonna do a bit of more Rust game development. Yesterday, I actually managed to finish this actually. So all the tests work now. If we run these now, so let's see. And I also merged it in the main branch. The only remaining things here are, I think we have a bug in, well, I'm not sure. I think it's the same bug we used to have a long time ago. Okay, this test shouldn't start a window. Okay, it starts it because I was debugging it. Right, so all of them ran, all of them passed, 0 skipped. Awesome sauce. However, that's not good enough because this test works about half the time, and I'm not sure if it's the map generation or what, but it fails more often now. And the test is quite simple. So these guys need to fight. And at the beginning of the fight, so we create this test world. And at the beginning of the game, we also create a dig task at this position, which is valid. And then we wait for the dwarves to fight it out and to dig. The thing is, this test fails from time to time. So let's put here false just so it runs faster. We're gonna keep an eye on the debug here, output log. The terminal here, so let's see. This is a test that, okay, it worked. Run again. Trust me, it will fail. And this test actually failed so many times that I added this mega test here that used to start about 150 tries, waiting a certain number of times before it creates the work and then simulating some more. Because I thought that maybe it's some timing issue, so if you create the task at a certain point in time, it gets dropped. But yesterday, what I've seen, well, this is a bit annoying because you see, actually, this is kind of the reverse demo effect because it doesn't fail even though it's supposed to fail. So it's kind of working when it's not supposed to. Well, even if I need to press this a million times, at some point it will fail. I feel like so it can't be a data race. Ah, failed finally. And it failed that it couldn't dig anything, right? So that's where we are. see where the that's kind of where we are now. And what we're gonna do today is finally figure this bug out. So I thought I fixed it, and I fixed a bunch of stuff ages ago. But it turns out it wasn't the actual bug I was hunting, which is quite frustrating. So enable this, run it. We might have to generate a test world. Not sure. Okay. So wait, this doesn't compile? Oh yeah. I think this is the failure case. It was the failure case because I know where the thing needs to be. However, it closes my window because this thing only simulates 700 steps, and then it closes the window and then proceeds to the next test steps. So it's a bit annoying. So let's just do this then. Now it should always run. Right here. So this guy correctly, we have a clump of dirt. This is the place where they need to dig. And here is where they are all dead. All right, so this is fine, I think. Yeah. So what we're doing, we're looking for a place where that doesn't work. Worked. Worked again. Oh my god. Why would it happen only sometimes? It's just a bit annoying. It'd be cool if I can find a world seed. So there's two seeds. There's a world seed and the terrain seed. Okay, this also worked. So yeah, maybe we can find the world seed and use that. It's about 1 out of 5 or 6 tries on average. And most of the time it works. Except, on CI, because I actually noticed it yesterday when the tests were running on the CI on the pull request. And I was like, wait a second. Thought I finished this bug off. My god. And this guy has a pickaxe, right? Pickaxe. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's be because the guy who has the task um dies and is not reassigned. I'm not exactly sure. Must be that. Or maybe he gets the task assigned and then he has to do something in the fight, or don't understand it. This is actually a bit futile because I'm pretty sure even if we repeat the didn't work. So as you can see, the terrain here, they didn't dig. So that's how we know it didn't work, but let's see why. So we have the, okay, unknown. This is a task, move item task. To move what? 6, 14, 22. 6, 14, 23. Okay. So this should be related with a clump of dirt task. So the way it works is when I make them dig something, we create a task to make a clump of dirt from the terrain cell. So it has this recipe item. It has been processed. I need to check what processed means for a task. It doesn't need to spawn anything. Okay. Has a dependency on this thing. 196876. Which is a thing that doesn't exist. Right? It's a blood splatter. So this is like a new entity or a new maybe task. Because everything has an ID. I think even this one has a, yeah, an entity ID here. Oh, I think my debug panel actually is wrong. And it doesn't add the tasks. It only adds entities that have an item component. That's not great. Maybe we didn't add any component to it. So, okay, but that's fine. So that doesn't matter that much. So, okay, we have this one that it depends on. So it created a subtask and it requires a pickaxe. at the destination. 6:14:23. Yeah, that's the correct one. What? Oh no, this is correct. So the worker offset is here. So this is X, it grows in in this direction towards the bottom right corner. So one like this and one down, it means the dwarf needs to sit here. So this is a correct offset. Allow worker offsets, there's a bunch of them. Okay, so this dependency then says done. Why would this task be done? That's the first hint, right? So this task shouldn't be done because obviously, well, first of all, move item. What is the... It's kind of weird. Like, what does it want to move? Eight, 7, 6, nothing. So this is okay. Maybe it's just the task and it doesn't have any other items. Entity to move. Look at this thing. Marker 0, entity ID 0. I'm pretty sure, I am very sure actually, that there is no entity with ID 0. So what on earth is this? And this was marked as done. So I think this is where we start our investigation. This thing, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's definitely not done. And also it tries to move this entity that doesn't exist. 6:14:22. What could that be? And moved items is none of them. Container, it doesn't require. Okay. So I think, well, okay, that's fine. So I think that's the thing we should focus on. Like, what are the... Okay, move item task. What are the things that could be moved? New, it takes an entity marker, an entity to move. Okay, so this is the thing we want to move. And here we're saying entity to move is just this weird thing with 0 entity ID 0, right? Okay. Has a get next action. We don't have a container, right? No. We have a reserved item. We do not. Okay, and what's the other task? Because this is a child of this task, which is a crafting task. Right. Not has a source workbench. This is at destination, right? At destination, okay. And then we say that transform component for this entity to reserve is oh, it's here as well. Look at it. 0 entity ID index 0. This is highly dodgy. Wait a second. Do we have a default implemented for this guy? No. I mean, technically, we could have a 0, 1. Because they start at... Well, yeah, I don't know what they start at. All right, so this is unclear how it got created, right? So reserved items. So this one has a reserved item that gets called. And then we reserve it here. Ready to use is false. It's not from here. It's from here. The bookmark. which is the recipe, looks at the things for each item. Reserve item by type. Okay. So we should have an item component. Hmm. What did we reserve here? So there's two possibilities here. We either reserve the wrong item, or we reserve the right one, but then we modify it, and then it's junk. It doesn't seem plausible that we reserve the wrong one because they come from an item component. You know what I mean? So these things are legit usually. We even have a log. Where are my logs actually? Not here because this is a test, obviously. Can we extract more information? I wonder, like, or is this it? Like, it doesn't seem like we can get more data, right? So we have a reserved item that's a bit bonkers. Dependency task that waits on it, but it comes from the original task. It's a bit weird that this is waiting for dependencies, but then the dependencies say they are done. Like, that's kind of the situation we have. So let's go. I think there's a few things. Why doesn't this progress if my dependencies are done? It's one question. And the second, like, that's the second question actually. The first question is, what's up with this thing? That seems to come from here. Because we reserve something and it's not ready to use. So one thing I would do though is go back to my test. What? The removes item. I don't need this because I know what to check for. So we would do this, and then I don't think this does anything differently. So we're doing this because I want to see, I want to debug it. And for that, I need to see the logs, and I think that might be easier. We get logs, as you can see, so those are pretty important. We also get them here. Right, but this is a bit kind of slow, so we will increase the game speed. It doesn't look increased to me, does it? Is there another place where we do have a lot of logs though? One of these runs, it will be failing, so just patiently try until I get it to fail. And then I have the other logs as well. Like now. Failed. Clumper of dirt task. Right, reserved item, the dodgy one. Alright. Let's look at the logs now. Attaching, okay, creating dependency. One nine six eight eight one, which is probably here. Yep, marker. That's the entity marker, not the entity ID. So 196.881. All right. Creating dependency, and then no reserved items. Okay. So that's dodgy. Hey, thanks for the follow, Americus. Okay, so we create this thing. This is a reasonable task to create. And then we assign this task to some dude. Wait. Okay, no. We're setting from unprocessed to waiting for dependencies after we create this thing. And God, this is ugly. Components, reserved items. It's already here. How did it get here? Don't get it. Genuinely don't understand. So it's not here. As far as I can tell, it's not mentioned ever again before. Our logs aren't helping. Yeah, I mean, these are shader creations and stuff like that. And this is some code for spawning dwarfs. So whatever. This is actually making them have matching beards with the hair and the same color, you know. Oh, no, look here. Reserving item entity, index ID, okay. Or clump of dirt. Hmm. Wait a second. So let's check the terrain entity IDs, right? These are reasonable entity IDs, right? So definitely this isn't a... This isn't this index 0. So in that case, it looks like it's something dodgy because we are reserving this thing for terrain cells. So this is the right type, right? This is the thing that confuses me, but this is completely wrong. So then what we can do, so it came from here. So definitely the badness comes through these places, right? We even had the bookmark here, right? Because it's ready to use false, which if we squint, yeah, look at it here. We saw this before, right? So it's kind of confirming that this is where they come from and it's incorrect. And it comes from this function, reserve item by type. Item type map. Right. I want to check that item type map because I feel like it might be not what it needs to be. So it's this thing, type entity ID map. Right, it's that one. Okay, okay. Just to confirm. And what do we have here? We have dwarf leg, cow torso, medium tree milk. Should be somewhere a terrain cell. Quite a few of them. What? Wait a second. This one exists here as a terrain cell. Right? I think we're onto something. Entity marker, whatever. Status and process recipe. Recipe item. Entity type terrain cell. Aliases earth cell and grass cell. Starting to get it now why it failed. So what it does is, okay, it went into this map. And we have, for terrain cells, we have quite a few of them, right? Because it's a big map, whatever. And the first one is a terrain cell, obviously. But this makes me think that our crafting task isn't really working correctly. Because, okay, it took the first terrain cell to reserve it. Which, okay, fine. So it has marker 0 and so on. That's okay. But obviously, this is at a completely wrong position in the world. Thanks for the follow, NS and Selik. So obviously, things don't work from there on. It's a surprise to me how it does work then, because if every time we just take the first one here, what? It's the wrong entity, right? So do we just reserve a random entity and then dig at that position? That's probably what happens. Okay, so here, I mean, okay, that task is waiting now for dependencies, and then they're fighting. And then we have a move item task. Like, what? This is the second question I had. Like, what I have, which is why is this a move item task? more combat. Okay, so there's a few things going wrong in here. First thing going wrong is the fact that we reserve some random terrain cell. Here. That's because I think that's because we treat these tasks just like any other crafting task. So a crafting task first brings the ingredients to the place and then it crafts. However, I think if this is a terrain, like if you need to dig in the terrain, we don't need to bring the items to the place. Or rather, maybe we can just reserve the right cell at the right position. We don't really know that, right? Because from the task system's perspective, you just need to create a thing at the destination. So wait, how does it make progress? It calls world remove item on the one that it reserved, and then it will spawn things. The more I debug this, the more I am just confused. I kind of am not, I started being confused, like, why does this not work? And now my confusions come from the fact that I'm amazed this has ever worked. Like, we just reserve here an item which has nothing to do with the position at which we want to do the work. Maybe. Should consume is true. And there's some dependencies here. I assume is this thing above. Yeah. Oh, because it moves it here. Okay. And we even set this thing to done, which is like, so okay, let's be, so this is impossible, right? The other thing is wrong, but we can fix it later, right? So because this isn't like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why is this set from unprocessed to done, right? So let's fix that. Okay, great. Set status. That's fantastic. Oh, look at this pretty line of code. So if we can't carry the item, just set it to done and don't do anything else. Right? So this is past me being silly. All right, so now we know why that task was done. And then nothing, like not, it just sets it to done. Um, right. So if we can't carry this thing, we'll fail the task, right? Path problem, container problem, no stockpile, done. Um, Sorry about that. Right. So the thing is, if I'm introducing a new status, we need to, it's kind of like a state machine, these tasks. So yeah, it is VS Code. I use this theme called, what's it called? Pop-in and lock-in. Really nice theme. And obviously Rust Analyzer. I used to use Material before, had a bunch of stuff. Actually, I don't even know why I have all of this installed. But yeah, so that's what I'm using. Now I'm kind of thinking, well, what am I doing here? I could introduce a failed task status. I cancelled. Fully just cancel this task, cannot be ever finished. Forget about it. But also, we could think a little bit about, well, it's a move item task. Finishing it with done when you can't move the item is pretty okay. I don't think it's the black one. What? Uh, Wait, where's the... Open and looking is not that contrasted. I think it's just one. There's two on the store. Yeah, there might be two. This one is fine. I mean, it's a lot of contrast, but this one's decent. Yeah, I think you need to take the one with more downloads. Yeah. So let's... Okay, now I understand why this is happening. Okay, this would be good as a log. It's actually an error because we shouldn't start tasks like that. And now, what? Now for the buggy part, which is here. So crafting task tries to reserve an item of a certain type so he can do the task at destination. So what he's actually trying to do here, the system is basically saying we should get the terrain cell, move it to that destination, the one that we reserved, and then dig there. Well, first of all, yeah, we can't move terrain cells, so that fails and finishes. It's unclear why this one doesn't make progress if the other task is done, to be honest. That's a bit of a mystery that we should check. And then here, he's gonna say, well, okay, I don't have anything reserved for this task, so I'm gonna try to reserve something. I think here for the terrain items, we need to customize it a bit. Right, so clump of dirt can be crafted with this recipe. Either a grass cell, earth cell, one of them is sufficient. And then this is the clump of dirt component list. And it would be at destination. Nowhere here does it say that the terrain cell, so the item that is used to craft this task, has to be the one that is like at the position here. So this is a bug because here we're reserving the wrong one, and then our child task, like our dependency task, finishes because we kind of allow things to finish even if we don't have the item. Game log. And the thing is actually, yeah, well, it finished, but then what? There's some equip items happening. Dropping actions happening. Because I mean, okay, everything is buggy, right? But technically this one, you look at the log, is set to done. Then we try to equip some stuff. We're doing some more combat. Combat, 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 combat. So this entity 196759. 759. We try to equip this thing. Wait, what? This is a dead enemy dwarf. 769. Sorry. A pickaxe. So we try to equip a pickaxe here. And then we drop that. Because we have equipped it. Is done is true. Right, so we should have a dwarf here with a pickaxe equipped. This guy, maybe. The pickaxe. Not reserved by anyone. Can be carried. So okay. So someone we should put equipping the item. What? Right, but we should put who is equipping. Because otherwise it's just so where's the dwarf here? Well, it's ID. So the dwarf will equip this item, and now, well, we don't know what the hell is happening because my logs are incomplete. One thing we can still do in this debug session is figure out why the task, which is planning. Yeah, that one is waiting for dependencies. So let's take I'm just trying to figure out where the next things are. I think progress for tasks is happening in here. Or yeah, let's try. Yep. Oh, there's a ready and there's a done. What? Otherwise, we call build dependencies. Trying to figure out where the tasks go from waiting on dependencies to ready. Update dependencies. Okay. Right, so here's the thing. Done tasks. So there is a way in which the done task gets in here and somehow Oh, because of the result. Maybe nothing happens. What does move item task do? So this was return an entity moved. This is complicated because this now we don't have any done task because these are some transient things and they happen only once when that task is set to done. And would it be the case that it's set to done before the other one is waiting for dependencies? That doesn't really make much sense because already here we're setting waiting for dependencies and then so we create the dependency, we set our status, stuff happens. Here we set it to done, so that was already waiting for dependencies, but yet somehow despite the fact that that guy was waiting, we don't get like, is that source? It's not a source. We only get this one. Not good. Well, obviously this is I need to put a breakpoint here. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, that's the thing that kind of confuses me, because here is somewhere we don't get. And if we have a done task, and we do, it's kind of guaranteed we should get here. Oh no. Wait. Because there is no reserve item. Alright. Now that makes sense, because there's another if here. So if whatever, and reserve item, where does item come from? What? No, we have it, because this is from the parent task. Okay. Trying to imagine how we would get into this situation. I mean, in my head, this, when it works because it gets here and it resolves the thing. And it says this is ready to use, and then everyone's happy because the task can progress, whereas as we are with it now, it's not ready to use. Yeah, ready to use is false. So when it works, it actually, what happens is, I think it's clear now, it reserves a random item on the map, a random terrain cell. And then it says, okay, that terrain cell is ready to use. The move item task fails, but sets itself to done. Then we get here into task processing. And then in here, and then we dig. So like he will go get the pickaxe and do stuff. Now that's good. I mean, it's not good, but that's one bug. But the second bug is even in this broken system, it's not 100% working. So when you have a dependency that has said it has finished, we need to progress technically. So that's the thing that slightly bothers me. So for each done task, remove the components from the world. Okay. And these come from where? Apply the changes to the world. And we broadcast to each task that we are done. Or maybe we have no result. Wait, I thought I checked that. Hey, Mr. Karagos, thanks for the follow. No, this never fails. Okay. So, okay. Let's try again and see how it looks like when it does work. Oops. I think I moved the quotation mark. So let's look at the game log. Oh, we're setting it from unprocessed to ready when it works. And we don't create a dependency task. Isn't that dodgy? All right, so okay, so whenever we create this move item task, it never works if we don't create it. And this is kind of a question as to why doesn't it create it here? We just go from unprocessed to ready. Let's see how. Marker, we have, okay. Recipe item, terrain cell, process 2, true. And the entity marker, look, this is a reasonable entity. 19127, right? Okay, not that. Oh, well, yeah, it doesn't exist because we destroyed it here. Okay. Okay, and then progress happens. I mean, entity working on an item. Okay, so this guy is then working on something. So he's digging from assigned to done. And then we delete this one, which is the grass cell. All right. So the question is, how come on this situation everything went fine and we went to dig the right terrain cell and I can't find it. Yeah, here. From unprocessed to ready. Whereas here we're reserving some random stuff. From unprocessed to waiting for dependencies. Okay, so let's look at that code. So we build the dependencies, we go through the world. Okay, world entities, components. Try to find a worker offset. Z destination, okay. Hi, yeah. Are you also doing Rust? Yeah, ECS is kind of mandatory in Rust because otherwise it's a bit painful. I mean, it is doable to do some other stuff, but ECS is way easier if you like. Do wonder if we reserve it through here. Because that would kind of make sense. Because if it gets to the other place, there's always a reserve false. Ready to use false, right? But here there's a ready to use true. Know what I mean? So I feel like we might be reserving it through there when it works. This time it worked because this guy will go here and dig. All right. What? Really? Look, reserving item. And this is the grass cell that will later be destroyed. We're onto something. Deleting entity ID. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I use Perlin noise for the world generation. Right now we're just debugging. We're almost done debugging a thing. Which is sometimes it doesn't dig over there. And it turns out then when it does dig, they do reserve the correct item. Oh, grass, earth. Guys. God. You see, and you did mention world generation, and this is it. This thing doesn't work when it at the position we have so it's trying to dig here somewhere, right? Let's say here. Fuck. I know what's going on. Yeah, right? And what does it try to do? It tries to create a thing called a, what is it? A clump of dirt. Clump of dirt can be created only from earth and grass cells, which are basically these things or these things without the grass on top. But like this world is random, right? My God. And what happens is that it will be a rock cell here. And rock doesn't create a clump of dirt. Because if you look at the recipe table, the recipe table says pretty clearly that clump of dirt is created from these two, not from a rock cell. That's rock ore. Oh my God. And this thing happens because our world generation in tests isn't fixed. Only only the terrain is the same, but then we use a different seed for the item placement and for stuff like that. Oh my God. So everything is working perfectly fine, except so the reason why it's working fine is that as a player you can never tell the dwarfs to create you a crafting task in that position that has the wrong resource. So like if it's a rock ore, it will give you, I mean if it's a rock cell, like a rock, one of these gray ones, it will always give you rocks, and that's what the game does it if you do it through the UI. But because the test always says at this position make some dirt, a clump of dirt, then that's from that's not gonna work. So not working is actually correct. The test is broken. The test needs to say needs to check what's there and then needs to give you the right order. Like if it's a rock, it should say give me some rock ore over there, or if it's a whatever cell. Yeah. Oh my god. I have no words. God. Perfect. All right, so let's fix that test. All right. All right, so it's like this is just it also creates like a broken task. Right. Yeah. I mean, now it's obvious, right? Let's undo the game. So this is like our game RS. So this is where we have the proper game. And we did change various things here that we shouldn't. Okay. And let's say create dig task at position. Right. So first of all, at that position, we can only have a clump of the earth cell, these things. So, okay. Okay, so we have the cell type. And we can say so now what we're doing now is we're gonna look at that position and see like what do we have? Do we have rocks? Do we have dirt? What's there? Then the recipe. We're gonna match it with ground type. Let's say earth. So earth and grass are the ones that give you this clump of dirt. rocks will give you I think it's called rock ore. Anything else will panic. Whatever. We need to panic. So in the future, when this happens, I'm not gonna be like, hey, what's going on again, and debug for 2 hours just to find out that the code was actually correct and the test was wrong. Right. So, and oh, this is actually really important. I can get rid of make sure dwarves dig wall after combat test. So this was actually spawning a lot of tests. Not 14, way more. It was hundreds. Just so I was trying to reproduce this exact issue. And obviously it takes ages to do those things. But now we don't need to anymore because I finally understood why it was failing. And actually, so what I'm expecting is here it will panic. And then it creates this thing. And it should return an entity type. Right. Because we need to look for it. Okay. Stockpiles. Yep. Yes, I do have stockpiles. So you can, yeah. Right. And maybe we do this. Entity type. This would be can I do that? Oh, you're making a similar game in Go. That's super cool. Do you have like a website or something? Like to check it out. I always like this kind of games. I'm actually working on this because I like the type of games, and it's such a joy to see these things happen and look at the systems and whatnot. It's super cool. Rock cell will create rock ore. And then we panic, and then we use the entity type here. Smash this together. Oh, this is I like this kind of art. That's amazing. That's super cool. Oh, that's nice. So they can dig down. Mine actually can't dig down. I do have terrain layers and stuff, but I can't dig down. Here we return the entity type. And then oh, wait, what was the message? Must use equal. What do you do for pathfinding? Is it like plain old A star or something more fancy? All right, interesting. Yeah. So again, we are doing this. Okay, and you have like connection points between levels. Okay, so this is our new test now, and it should work. Well, actually, no, it should panic because I only handled, like before, two types of ground. As soon as I find the function that I just wrote. Right? So, okay, we even have rock cell. Yes, it is ECS based. I'm using goggles, which is this Rust very, very simple ECS library. It's actually a simplified version of the specs one that they have. I like it because goggles gives me a bit more flexibility. This just needs to panic at some point. I'm not gonna give up. And it will panic whenever that location has a rock cell. Yeah, it's a similar idea. Except my systems are just functions that you call. I can show you in a second. So like pathfinding is a system. It's quite big, but this is my pathfinding system basically. It's one function with pathfinding data, and here I have like the entity IDs, AI components, transform components, and the terrain. And this does a star over the terrain basically, and you know, yeah. So you know, because Bevy has a way to even run your systems in parallel, whoops, and things like that. I don't do any of that. If I need to parallelize something, I do it inside of a system. I don't really run systems in on multiple threads like that. It's a bit more bare bones. I like it for the flexibility. So it's kind of in my game, a system is just a function. God, I can't believe this thing doesn't fail anymore. Like what? Oh, maybe that's not the world. Digging removes item is the function. I think they use slightly different generation functions. What? Don't need to run with the window anymore. So now we just like run in terminal mode, like without any windowing. So I think so far the best one that really made me understand ECS has been this talk. Overwatch gameplay architecture and netcode really explains truly what the kind of philosophy of ECS is, I would say, with practical examples. I think I watched this talk about, I think, 4 or 5 times until I actually got it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I know. And it's really... Oh, I just realized you guys don't have the sound. I was listening to music alone here. Now you have music too. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's about it. And one thing to remember with ECS is that, whoa, look, it crashed. Perfect. Invalid ground at this location. Expected. How cool is this? How cool is this? So now if I add some new ground cell that could be at the surface, it will panic and I would know why. All right. So there's that, and there's another thing that I think is important, which is you don't have to have everything as ECS, right? So for example, the terrain in my game, the terrain is completely not ECS technically. I mean, it has its own data structure for the voxels and whatnot, however we like a 3D map. It's based on chunks, right? So let me show you. So this is my terrain, right? And let's kind of make it nice. This was a test world for actual testing. And this is the function. It's not really the same as... I'll get to your question in a second. Right, so let me show you, like cargo run. Wrong world size, but you'll see in a second. So my world is made up of chunks of this size, so 16 by 16 by 16 that are placed together, and their rendering system uses those chunks to generate some render lists, and that's completely not ECS, right? So I think what I'm trying to say is here, like, just don't try to shove ECS functionality as the basis, as the storage for everything in your game, because if I would do the terrain with ECS, I couldn't do stuff nicely, so I couldn't traverse it nicely. It would be a data structure that's quite unsuitable. But by being with chunks and things like that, it allows me to have optimizations. It allows me to iterate to the terrain cells quite fast without mixing them with other things. And actually, they're kind of mixing a little bit with ECS, because the grass cells, like every cell has some components, but these are like auxiliary data that are only queried whenever I need something from the ECS world. Most of the time I'm dealing with a terrain cell structure, which is actually pasted here at the end. It has a temperature, position, like a width and height, grass type is there. So that's not in the SCS world, right? That's in the 3D map, which is my terrain, right? So that's something to keep in mind, especially with this type of world, like rendering it, moving through it, where performance matters. I found that super helpful. Now to get back to the question about like result, maybe we go here, Rust Playground. So I can show you what happens with. So they're kind of, you're onto something there, but yeah, you can match on things like this. This is actually pretty cool. So if you have a thing that could return an error, so let's say you have a do stuff, right? So you have like an error here, whatever. Hey, thanks for the subscription. That's super kind of you. So you do here test, and here you do stuff, and you can do two things, right? You can do unwrap, and when you do unwrap, actually what happens is Rust is saying, well, if this isn't an okay, yeah, exactly, for the terrain, that's exactly what I mean, right? So if this isn't an okay of something, this could be an okay or an error of something, right? So if you do unwrap, or if you do expect, what happens is actually Rust says, well, if it's not okay, I'm just gonna panic and your program is done. Actually, your thread is done, but yeah, I'm gonna panic. And if it is okay, I'm just gonna extract the value out. So let's say this might return U32 here and an error. So let's say it would be okay of 3. Hey, thanks for the follow, Kazi. Right, and here you do be like, let's do a practical example. So let's say let stuff equals do stuff, and then maybe we print it, right? We don't even need this, right? Actually, no. Let's return okay, right? Right, so here we printed 3, right? You can see it all the way at the bottom here. Right? But here's the thing. Okay. Let's say this function is something like it reads some stuff and it's error. And what happens here is, well, the thread main has panicked at result unwrap at this line here, right? So that's what unwrap does. And here comes the question mark operator thing. So if we have question mark here, what it actually expands to is something like something like that, right? So if it's okay, it extracts the okay thing out, just like unwrap did, and then it proceeds to go further. If it's an error, it just short circuits everything and returns the error, right? So in our case here, if we have question mark stuff, this would be an I32 or U32, right? So it's already, it will be extracted, right? So that's kind of the difference. And then it will return it out, and then maybe you choose to handle it here and match test, and maybe if you get an error, you do something, you log it or something, you know. But this is kind of the idea with the question mark operator. Hey buddy, let me show you guys. My cat is the nicest guy ever. So when he wants food, he just comes on the desk and sits here. I need to pick him up because my camera doesn't go, but look. It's okay. Say hello. So I need to go feed him because he's patiently waiting. And I'll be... Well, I'll be right back. Or actually, we did quite a bit of things. Let's end the stream. Because I didn't realize how late it is, and tomorrow I need to go to work. So we're gonna format this thing. Okay. This doesn't need to go in. These are our new updated tests. I'm so happy we fixed this bug finally. Well, I mean, it wasn't a bug, it was a dodgy test. There's another log here, that's fine. There's an error here, that's perfectly fine. And we replace this with the right function. Yeah. Okay. So now actually what should happen, we should see a CI that's green. Somehow, I don't know how I get lucky on the CI. Always this broke on the CI runs. I mean, this will take a while because they're not fast. Let's see in the meantime who is on Twitch. Maybe we can do a tiny raid. Just sprites. Thanks, Zach. It's just sprites. Let me show you. Stuff like this. Oh yeah, because I had so let me show you. I had shadows and stuff and a bit of ambient occlusion on top. So let me show you a bit of shadows. Actually, let's do the small world. It's a bit more obvious here. Oh look, there's someone learning Rust. Nice. Yeah, so let me show you the shadows and then we raid some people. Right, so this is actually you see I have some shadows on top of them, so they're not so uniform, and there's some highlights here at these edges that also get only added to these edges, so they kind of stand out a bit more, and that's kind of, the highlights get broken after I rotate it, but I need to fix that. But yeah, the shadows are kind of all fake, and they also go on these areas. Alright, so let's go with learning Rust. Raids channel. Alright people, thank you so much for joining me in this debugging session. And I'll see you all maybe next week, I think, at the same day. Thanks for the follow, Zach. All right, see you all. Bye.